probably be charged with manslaughter. 9 years, out in 5. Sometimes it was all so bloody predictable, he thought. And at that point, Banks could hardly be blamed for not knowing how wrong he was. Banks leaned by his open office window that October Sunday morning and looked out over the quiet market square. The sound of the church congregation singing "We Plough the Fields and Scatter" drifted in, and it took him back to the harvest festivals of his childhood. Then he began thinking about Sandra and their marriage. There was still a discernible chill in the house. Suddenly he heard a tap on the door. It was D.C. Susan Gay, looking fresh as a daisy as usual. Not for her, Banks thought, the boozy Saturday nights favoured by Jim Hatchley, who followed hot on her heels, looking like death. Eyes bloodshot, lips dry and cracked, thinning straw hair uncombed. He explained to them how the boy had been killed, then walked to the map of Eastvale on the wall and pointed to the Ginnel in Carlaw Place. People cut through here and across to the Leaveview estate, but he could of course have been heading in either direction. "But if he'd been out drinking, sir," said Susan, "it's more likely he was heading from Market Street, isn't it? It's popular with young people on a Saturday. Some of the pubs have live bands or karaoke." Karaoke. Banks shuddered. The only other words that had a similar effect on him were country and western. "Fine, so let's start with the pubs there and the Leaveview estate. If we draw a blank, we'll extend the area." "How much do we know, sir?" said Hatchley. "Precious little. The overnight logs show no reports of any major shindigs." Banks passed them 2 sheets of paper from a folder on his desk. They showed an artist's impression of a young man, probably early 20s, with thin lips and a long, narrow nose. His hair was cut short and neatly combed. "This is mostly speculation, especially the nose, which was badly broken, but it'll have to do for now. We know, though, that the victim was 6 foot tall, 11 stone, blue eyes, blonde hair. No birthmarks, scars, or tattoos. So, start with the house-to-house, then the pubs. Our priority is to find out who the poor bugger was and who he was last seen with. OK?" A lot of detectives complained about house-to-house inquiries, but Susan had always enjoyed them. On a fine October morning like this, it was as good a way as any to be earning your daily crust. At the very least, it was a good exercise in patience, and there was nothing like it for getting to know your patch. The Leaveview estate had been built after the war as a mix of bungalows, semis and terraces, with no ugly blocks of flats to spoil the skyline. Many of the streets were named after flowers, and by noon she'd already covered the primroses, the laburnums, and the roses. As she walked, she could smell meat roasting and cakes baking. Children played football or rode around on bicycles. Some men in their shirt sleeves even sat on their doorsteps, reading the Sunday papers. As she moved on to Daffodil Rise, a boy came speeding around the corner on rollerblades. She managed to jump out of the way in the nick of time and rang the bell of number 2. "Yes, dearie?" The woman who answered was probably in her late 50s. Susan showed her warrant card and held out the artist's sketch. "We're trying to find out who this boy is. We think he might live locally." The woman stared at the drawing, then scratched her chin. "Well, could be Mr. and Mrs. Fox's lad, young Jason." "They live around here?" "Aye, number 7 over the street, but it only might be him. It's not a good likeness. The nose isn't right." "Have you seen this Jason lately?" "Not since yesterday. But then I hardly ever see him. He lives in Leeds, I think." "OK, thank you." Susan hurried down the path. As yet, Jason Fox was only a possible, but she'd better inform Banks. She went to the corner and spoke into her personal radio. The front door of number 7 Daffodil Rise was ajar when Banks arrived. He tapped softly before walking in. Jason's parents were sitting on the sofa in the living room. "Mr. and Mrs. Fox have been telling me, sir," said Susan, "that the lad in the drawing looks like Jason, and he didn't sleep here last night." "But she won't tell us anything," said Mrs. Fox. She was about 40, Banks guessed. Sandra's age.